All right, so boys and girls, today we are going to have a look at descriptive writing, how to write with a little bit more clarity. And when we say clarity, we mean how can we make it more clear what we mean to the reader? Okay, because it doesn't do us any good, right? If the reader cannot imagine what we are talking about, or the reader doesn't understand the logic behind what we are writing. Okay, so keep in mind that descriptive writing is not just something that it's not just a skill that we employ when we are uh, writing stories or narratives with a problem and characters and relationships and all that. Descriptive writing is also involved in other types of writing, including expository, argumentative, reflective writing. All of these require descriptive writing simply because if you don't describe what you mean, it's very difficult for the reader to understand you completely from your perspective. So, say for example, you might be like, "Hey, Mr. Joel, what does descriptive writing have to do with argumentative writing?" Well, when you write an argument, you provide examples, don't you? So when you provide examples, you have to be clear what you are trying to convey with the example. What kind of points are you trying to make with the example? And to do that, you need to be descriptive. When you are writing a story, you need to be descriptive. All right, because they can't imagine the world that you're painting for them. Your reader can't imagine the interactions, how your character looks like, what kind of personality does your character have if you don't describe, right? Similarly, okay, if it's a pure descriptive essay, so for example, they give you an essay question, right, that is just there for you to describe stuff only. For example, they will say, describe your favorite holiday destination to me, or describe your dream home, or describe a time, right, that you would feel completely at peace, that kind of thing. So you don't need to write in the past tense because you need to imagine it now inside your brain. And so you are describing everything in the present tense, but you need to describe in detail in order for the teacher to see or imagine what the picture you are trying to paint for the teacher looks like. All right, so that's what we're covering today. Descriptive writing, how to write with better clarity. Okay, but I really wanted to tell you guys that descriptive writing is not just for for the genre, for the category descriptive writing. It can apply to the rest as well. That's why I talked about the rest just now. Okay, it's a very useful skill. All right, for all the other types of writing, it covers everything basically. A pure descriptive as a category, right, of essay by itself, a pure descriptive is quite rare. Even for O levels, you rarely find a pure descriptive. Okay, normally they are combined with something else, like describe a time in the past when you regretted your actions. Then it becomes a reflection, right? It becomes a reflection and description because it's describe a time in the past when you, right? So normally they combine it with some other genre. It's quite rare to find a pure descriptive, okay, for your N or your O level exams. Okay, but anyway, as usual, we'll be covering some editing first before we go into the composition part. So here's a chance for you guys to win some great points on Class Dojo as well. Let me just update the attendance list. So today we just do not have Kaushik and Karthik with us. So what happened to Kaushik and Karthik? Maybe they're late. I don't know. But anyway, uh, let's see who has actually done their work for editing. If you've done your work, right, I'm going to give you like some bonus points as well, because I find a lot of people don't like to do the work beforehand, and then right, they come in, they do it on the spot. All right, so Yinchi and Karthik have done their work on time. All right, or they have done their work online. Great, but I'm not sure if they are doing the correct one though. It's weird, but okay. Here are some bonus points for Inchi. Where's Inchi? Inchi +5. And Karthik, although he's not here, he gets 5 points as well because he did his work online. All right, come have a look for editing. Okay. Hey, oh, sorry, guys. Oh my goodness. I opened the wrong file. Worksheet 31. Sorry, I was teaching the wrong part. Sorry, so we're not doing descriptive writing today. We're doing narrative comprehension and we're dealing with inferential questions. Let me double confirm. This is week 31. That's right. And this is, yep, okay, inferential questions. Sorry, I thought we were doing descriptive writing today. So, what are inferential questions? I think I have given you all the quiz before, right? The inferential questions quiz, where you have to guess about what's happening. So inference is basically making an intelligent guess based on the information you have about the passage. That's what inferential questions are, basically. Okay? So look for clues in the text and then use them to draw conclusions. For some texts, you have to use your own world experience and knowledge and apply them to the context of the story. Hopefully, right, those are not too much of the questions need to do that, because it can be quite unfair sometimes. If you are not as well read, or your interest lies somewhere else, you might be at a disadvantage because you don't know how things might work in like that particular industry or in that particular hobby and stuff like that. So, how do you know whether a question is inferential or it's not inferential? So if you see these words, normally it means, right, that they are inferential. Like they will ask you, what does this, when the author says this, what does it suggest about the author's attitude? What does this phrase imply, about the character? Why did the character say this? Infer from this what you may, blah, 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 blah. They won't actually tell you in the question, like, guess what the purpose of the character is, that kind of thing. But you can tell that a question is inferential if you see the word suggest, imply, or infer. All right. Not all of the time, right? It's inferential. All right, if you see these three words, but most of the time it is. So it may be phrased in other ways as well. The only way you can truly tell whether something is inferential or not is if you need to go back and read the passage, right? And pick out clues, but you can't find the answer directly, which means you can't copy information directly from the passage. Then you know it's inferential. Okay? And when I say information copy directly, I mean you can't even rephrase the words and then use them as your answer. Some questions that are language based, right? They will say, what does the author mean when he says blah, 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 with this particular phrase? So all you need to do to explain that question is just rephrase it. Because what is a better way to tell someone what something means than to actually use different language to explain that exact same phrase? So that's basically a rephrasing. So it's inferential, right? When you can't even rephrase it to be your answer. So you need to pick different clues from different parts of the passage, combine them together, all right, and make like a new idea, or you have to come up with an idea entirely by yourself based on the clues. And that is what we call an inferential question. Okay, so don't confuse it with your language vocabulary kind of questions. Those are the ones where you can actually rephrase it and get the mark. I'll show you some examples later. All right. Talk less, practice more. Let's go. Okay. So over here. All right. I will do it once and then later you do it. If you get it correct for each question, you get 5 points on Class Dojo. All right. Have a look at this little paragraph here, right? Not paragraph, 2 paragraphs here. Amy froze when her name was announced. Her teacher smiled at her reassuringly and said, "You can do it, Amy." The walk to the stage seemed to be very long. As Amy took each step, her feet became heavier and heavier. She broke out in cold sweat. Question 1, inferential. Why did Amy freeze when she heard her name? So this is the part, right? She froze when her name was announced. So why did she freeze? Okay. Does the passage tell you what the answer is? No. All right. There's nothing over here that tells you why she froze. But you can pick up clues here and there. The first clue is that the teacher needed to reassure her with a smile. That's clue number 1. The second clue is that to Amy, from Amy's perspective, the walk to the stage seemed to be very long. The third clue is that every time she moved, her feet became heavier and heavier, which tells us that she was actually very reluctant and she was even fearful. It's like you walking to be hanged by the executioner at prison like that, right? You don't want to meet your death. Over here to Amy, she's fearful, didn't want to go out onto the stage. Fourth clue, she broke out in cold sweat. Normally, you will break out in cold sweat only when you feel fear or you are scared, isn't it? So, from these little clues here and there, okay, why did Amy freeze when she heard her name? Very simple. She had stage fright. Okay, so if you were to give me an answer like, oh, she did not want to perform on stage, okay, I will give you wrong. Because nothing in these two paragraphs here, right, tells me that she's performing. How do you know she's performing? You don't know what, right? Or if you tell me over here, Amy was afraid of giving a speech on stage, I will give you wrong as well. Because nothing over here tells you that she's going to give a speech. So don't include details that are so specific that the teacher can pinpoint you and say that, hey, where did you come up with this? Nothing in the passage tells you she's giving a speech. Where did the idea come from? You can't create something out of nothing. Okay? But you can create something out of the clues you are given over here. So this is the difference between an inferential question and a question testing you on your opinions about the story. That's a totally different question. Yeah? So inferential questions, you cannot make something out of nothing. You must make something out of the clues given to you. Over here, we have 4 different clues. And all the 4 different clues points towards Amy having stage fright. Now, as to why she's going up the stage, right? I don't care. I don't want you to guess as well because they haven't told you. Is she going to give a speech? Is she going to dance? Is she going to sing? All right. It's not your problem. None of the clues over here tells you what she's going to do. All that the clues tell you is that she's frightened out of her wits. She doesn't want to go up, all right, because the walk to the stage was seemed to be very long to her. Her feet were heavy. She broke out in cold sweat. She was frightened out of her wits. In a simple form, she has stage fright. The moment I see the word stage fright, you have the full points. Okay? If you add too much stuff that is not even supposed to be there, 0. Okay? 0. So this is what it means to answer an inferential question. No, Wesley, this is just a demonstration. It's not the real, not the actual one. Yeah. What do you mean by so cute, the baby? Oh, are you talking about my desktop just now? Oh, that's my daughter. Thank you. Yeah, that's my daughter. She's not so fat anymore. Yeah, but thank you for calling her cute. I do find her cute. But when she wakes up at 3 a.m. at night, she's not very cute now. She wakes up and she refuses to go back and sleep. My God. Okay, so that's question 1. Okay, question 2 is also an inferential question. Look for clues, derive your answer from the clues. Don't add in extra stuff, all right? And don't try to act smart and add in extra stuff. Just answer based on what the clues tell you, okay? Amy's feet became heavier and heavier. What can we infer from this? Can we infer that her shoes were very heavy? Doesn't make sense, right? So what can we infer? We can infer that she was reluctant, that she was fearful, right? So that's why her feet became heavier and heavier. When you don't want to do something, but you're forcing yourself to do it, your feet become heavier. Or rather, in her perspective, it feels as if her feet are becoming heavier and heavier. So that's right, Jimin. If you tell me, right, we can infer that she was very nervous, or we can infer that she's reluctant to go on stage, or we can infer that she's fearful. You will get the full points because feet being heavier and heavier, right, could mean a few things. So if in your answer, right, I see the words nervous, or I see the word reluctant, or she was fearful, or scared or whatever, I will give